This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesianicristo.
Welcome to INC Radio Oregon, where our brethren from different parts of Oregon, Washington, California, Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming greet you. Come get to know all of our brethren from the Ecclesiastical District of Oregon and explore our activities, experiences, and sceneries. This is Oregon. Hello to our viewers and our listeners today. Thank you for joining INC Radio Oregon. I am Sister Jillian Pimentel, and our topic for today is summer safety and activities. In our live chat, make sure to please greet us and your family and your friends. Let us know what local congregation you're from or group worship service you're from. And if you're from another district, let us know where you're visiting from as well. Today, our live chat engagement question is, how do you stay cool in the summer heat? And now, this summer, we've seen some very high temperatures. Though it's nice to go outside and soak up the sun, we should be careful about staying safe in the summer heat. So how should we stay cool this summer? And why don't we go ahead and talk about some tips and advice today? Today, I have with me Sister Flo. Hello, Sister Flo. Thank you for joining today.
Hi, Sister Jillian. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on INC Radio Oregon. I'm really excited about our topic today because we've been waiting for summer for so long because we had such a long winter and it's been very cold. But now, Sister Jillian, it's been very hot. We've had upper 90 degrees and 100 degrees, I think, the other day. But was that like that in your part of your area there in Oregon?
It was here in actually Roseburg Group Worship Service. The area here has been around maybe 107 degrees. I think that's been the highest temperatures that we've seen lately, but it's starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah, they're talking about maybe lowering down to maybe 80 degrees, but it's still really hot. I'm seeing the effects of our hot weather because my grass is turning brown, even how much I'm watering it.
Hopefully, even though 80 degrees is quite hot, I think my ideal temperature would probably be around mid-70s. 70-degree weather is perfect for me.
It sounds perfect, but yeah, even 80s is hot too. But I know our temperature here is probably kind of felt about the same throughout the rest of the United States. Everyone's been experiencing hot weather temperatures, but I know it's just as hot there in the Philippines because I felt that kind of weather too. So I think this is a perfect time to talk about summer safety and how we're dealing with our hot weather today. All right, what do we got here today, Sister Jillian?
So our first question today actually is, how can we protect our skin from the sun? And so the sun emits these ultraviolet rays or UV rays, and they can be harmful for our skin. And so we can't really see or feel this radiation at all. So it's all the more important to realize how and when we need to protect our skin the most. And so, one of the biggest advice for doing so is using sunscreen. And so, sometimes when people leave their house, they apply it right before they leave and then they leave right away. But our skin actually needs time to absorb the sunscreen that we're using. And so, it's been advised to use sunscreen at least 15 to 30 minutes before leaving your home so that your skin has time to absorb all of that. And Sister Flo, have you ever seen those sunscreens? They have like different SPF numbers. They have like 15 or 30.
Yeah, they have 15. I've seen 20, 30. And I believe now I've seen as high as maybe 45 or 50 SPF. And I think it really is about how much coverage or how well it covers, or I'm not sure how what the numbers mean, but I think the higher the better.
Yes, exactly, Mr. Flo. And so actually, it's been recommended to use SPF 30 before leaving your house or whenever you're in any type of contact with the sun. Like you said, of course, using SPF at higher numbers is also safer because that provides more protection for your skin during the really hot sun rays. And so also it has been advised that we should have to actually apply it multiple times per day. And so I know me before, I would just apply the sunscreen maybe once before I left my house, and then I'd be in the sun all day, and I think that would be good enough. But recently I learned that you have to apply it every 2 hours or so in order to get good coverage for your skin. And there's another thing that's been mentioned that even if it's cloudy outside, many people think that they can't really get sunburn. But even if it's cloudy outside and the sun is shining above those clouds, you can still get sunburn. And so it is advised to use sunscreen even when it's cloudy because the clouds can't block the UV rays from the sun.
You know, Sister Jillian, I never really thought sunscreen was important, but it is important. And I'm one of those guilty ones that don't put sunscreen. But now I think this year with the very extreme weather, we do need to put sunscreen. And I want to just mention your mom. Hi, Sister Annalisa. She's there from Rollsburg Group Worship Service, and she's chiming in already. She said, stay hydrated during extreme heat and keep drinking water, even though you don't feel thirsty, especially if you're outdoors. In the outdoor activities. And I think we're going to cover that as well little later on. But she's already ahead of us. And so we'd like to hear from our audience out there in our live chat to tell us if you do wear sunscreen, because I know that they're made to protect our screen from even feeling the burn. I feel burnt too sometimes when we go out in the sun for just even a little bit.
Yeah. And I was like you, Sister Flo. I don't think even now I use sunscreen as much as I should, but another way to protect our skin from the sun is to use clothing like hats, using those hats with the big shade so that you can cover your face, and as well as using clothes that cover your sleeves. I know that might sound a little bit warm when you're wearing long sleeves in the sun,
Yeah.
but it does help to protect your skin in that sense.
It does. And I see that too, wearing like especially those who are driving, they're wearing the long sleeve, especially white, because it deflects the heat, right? So that way it doesn't burn or your arm don't get darker, because sometimes one arm, you don't want one arm to be darker than the other. But yeah, I've seen those too. Hats are made for the hot sun.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Sister Flo, like you can just use one of those sleeves that you can just take off. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a long sleeve t-shirt.
Hmm.
And
Right.
speaking of road trips, that was our next question for our topic today, which is a lot of us might have the opportunity to go on these road trips, especially since we might be on summer vacation or we have those vacation hours to use. And so now, how can we stay safe on our travels? And actually, One of my favorite things to do this summer is to go on road trips in our car. And so going to different places. And of course, there's different ways to prepare for that. And so, one of the first things is making sure that your car has those emergency items. And so, something like that might be extra water, especially if you're going on a long trip, you need a lot of water. And, Sister Flo, what kind of emergency items would you suggest having in your car?
Ah, yes. Let's see. You mentioned make sure you have a lot of water packed up in your car. Having snacks, I think that's important. However, for emergency, it's things like making sure that your tires are well inflated, and if you don't have any of those, make sure you go and check. And let's say maybe make sure you have your tools if you go out for road trips, and let's say you may get a flat tire. Make sure your tools are in your car that you need to do that. And what else that we need? Make sure your air conditioning is working in your car, because
Yes.
it gets really hot in the car. You need your air conditioning.
All of that ties into having your car maintenance be checked before you actually go on your trip. And I know a lot of the times when you do these checks, you do the maintenance, you have a list of all the things that you might need to look over in your car. I think it's pretty important to have those all good and ready to go, especially before you go on your road trip.
Yeah, especially on a long road trip. Even just 2 hours, or as long as maybe 5 hours, it's important to make sure your engine, you have your oil change, and um, your engine is working well. Tires, like I said earlier, and just making sure you have all the emergency items that you need there for your car. And people, make sure to have it checked maybe 2 or 3 days before your road trip. However, we do have impromptu road trips, Sister Jillian, like on a weekend. Oh, let's go and drive out. So I think regular maintenance on your car is important as well.
Yes, exactly. And also, while you're on the road trip, making sure you take breaks. You don't want to take maybe like a 10-hour road trip and go all the way from your place, from where you leave to your destination at once. And so I think taking breaks maybe every 3 hours or however long that you would like to have your breaks is really important so that you can get up and stand up and you're not always sitting in the car the whole time, is a good way to do that.
I think
And
interval breaks, meaning like maybe hour and a half, maybe, or maybe right before you think you need a rest stop break, right? That's a perfect time to have a break. Step out of your car and walk and shake those legs off, and then you can go off on your road trips. But yeah.
exactly. And especially with that being said, whenever we do take our breaks and we need to go to the rest area, so one of the facts is that the sun can heat a vehicle by 20 degrees in just 10 minutes. And so that's a lot. So if it's maybe 80 degrees outside, you turn your car off and you come back 10 minutes later, it'll probably already be about 100 degrees in there. And so, one thing that we're always reminded is not to leave our pets or even our children inside of the car. I think that's one reminder that a lot of people like to know, especially with the fact that 20 degrees, that's a lot of degrees to heat up by.
Oh yes. Yeah. That's a great reminder, Sister Jillian, in terms of making sure that our we don't leave important pets and people in the car, because it is quite dangerous and it does rise up really quickly. And so even just 5 minutes leaving them, no, take them with you if you have to go in the shopping mall, if you need to step away, or just make sure you don't travel with especially pets too. I've seen people leave pets in their car.
Speaking of pets as well, I know I've seen this tip somewhere before that especially whenever you're walking outside and you're taking your pets out for a walk, sometimes your pet's paws are going to be really hot from the concrete because I think the concrete is the same way as well that it heats up by a lot, especially when it's just a low temperature outside, maybe like 70 degrees. It can still be quite hot for the paws of your pets, and so maybe getting little boots or little shoes for your pets would also be a good advice for bringing your pets on a walk.
That's cute. That sounds so cute though. But it's like humans, we don't walk out on the concrete without our shoes or our slippers, right? Sister Jillian, we have your mom chiming in with us. She's very active with us. We need to invite her on live radio sometime.
Yes.
Let's kind of back up a little bit and mention what she said about um, wearing sunscreen always is helpful. We need to um, needed to protect our skin, even though it's not sunny season, to protect our skin to UV lights, to have a radiant skin always. So, yeah.
Yes.
Um,
I think even if it's not summer, just like my mom said, in order to have radiant skin, using sunscreen all throughout the year could especially help your skin for any type of thing, especially from the sun.
yes. Just wanted to do a shout out or greetings to Sister Terry Morales. Today I was able to see them. They're out there celebrating their 50th anniversary of the local congregation of Portland. Thanks for having me out there, joining your celebration, um, and more blessings to the local congregation of Portland.
All right. Yes, and thank you, Sister Flo, for bringing that up. And speaking of, being outside, how else can we stay cool? So, whether it's inside or outside, we need to stay cool when we're inside the house as well. And so, just like my mom, Sister Annalisa mentioned earlier, she said that we need to drink plenty of water. And so, even when you're not thirsty, making sure that you just get plenty of water that you need for the day can help you to stay cool. So, drinking that cool iced water, and then also wearing light colored clothing. So, the lighter clothes deflect the heat. And so, whenever we do wear the lighter clothes, we also stay cool. Lighter material, lighter colors. And one thing that always love doing is going hiking. And so, whenever we go hiking or just go outside in general, using insect repellents. When it's hot outside, a lot of those bugs like to fly around as well. And so, whenever you use that, you won't get bit anymore. And so, now that we've covered some of our tips on staying safe in the summer heat, what kind of activities can we do to enjoy the sun? And so, one of the first things is playing sports with your friends. One sport that has been coming up into popularity lately is pickleball. I know a lot of my friends have been playing pickleball, which is similar to tennis and table tennis mixed together. And then also volleyball. We also have maybe basketball, or there are others. Sister Flo, what are some other activities that we can do to enjoy our summer?
Um, Volleyball is one. I'm a volleyball spectator, but and even whether you're a spectator or a player, volleyball is a good time to be out there. Like we know we play. That's an outdoor indoor kind of game, but if we're outdoors and being out there, some do beach volleyball as well. So we need to stay safe as well because it's hot going on the beach, the sandy beach. You mentioned hiking earlier. Where do you love to do hiking in your place?
There is a hiking trail nearby to my home actually. You just go down the highway a little bit. I forgot the name, but it has a beautiful trail and really pretty waterfall over there as well. And I remember hiking there one time and I was like, I'm gonna go back one day, but I haven't gone back yet. So maybe this summer is the summer to go back to go hiking there.
Yeah, speaking of hiking, for those of you that love to go to hiking and be safe also going out there. Make sure you let someone know that you're out there, and bring your cellular phones. I know some areas may not have the the signal, but just try to make sure to let someone know that you're where your trail is and your hiking time. That way, if something happens, then there's a way to find you, right? And let's see, we have Brother Romel Arlos from the local congregation of Hillsborough saying, hiking, biking, well, as long as we do it early in the morning when it's cooler. That's a good point, Sister Jillian, going in
I
the
agree with
early
that.
mornings. And
Yes, especially since the hottest part of the day starts already at noon all the way up until the evening. I think
mhm,
going in the morning is the best time to maybe do any of the activities that we're talking about.
that's good exercise for us as well, right? Get some fresh air, and put in the exercise time, and early in the morning. Thank you so much
Yes,
for that, Brother Romel.
and my mom mentioned that fresh fruits and vegetables are useful sources of hydration as well. So even if you're not drinking that much water, if you're eating these fruits and vegetables like watermelon, strawberries, they are a really good source of hydration. Drinks like peppermint tea all throughout the day as well. I know that
Yeah.
my mom and I are pretty big on drinking some tea throughout the day.
With ice,
I like iced tea. My mom likes hot tea,
hot
even if
tea.
it's hot outside.
Yeah. Even Sister Cynthia Nash, she emphasizing that you know, drinking lots of water to stay cool and hydrated. Even bringing extra bottles of water with you in the car, and have a cooler with you, because the if you just leave your water bottles in the car without any kind of putting it in a cooler, that's not good either, because then the water is hot. You're kind of really defeating the purpose of staying cool.
Yeah. And another activity that I really liked doing, especially as a kid, I used to do this a lot with my parents, is to go crabbing. Along the Oregon coast, you can kind of escape the really hot sun by going along the Oregon coast and just going crabbing, bringing all of your tools that you need, especially going fishing or going boating. Just staying along the water is a really nice way to stay cool. And like also visiting a local beach, maybe going on a road trip to a local beach is also a really good way to stay cool. And speaking of going back to our homes, gardening is also a way to have be a fun activity for other summer. I know my parents have their garden and they've been working on that, and I love seeing all of the flowers all the time.
Oh yeah, I visited your place, and yes, your mom has a very beautiful garden, and I'm sure a lot of brethren out there in our district do have nice gardens, flowers, and maybe vegetable gardens as well. And hopefully, actually, this is a perfect time to do some gardening, and hopefully, they can harvest some of their wonderful vegetables, and maybe we get to see them. And I'm sure they're using it for one their cooking times, their um, favorite dishes, right? And so,
Oh,
yeah, gardening is great too. Just make sure you have your hat on, and sunscreen still.
exactly. Sunscreen, maybe your sleeve, and using your hat while staying cool, especially if the sun is right on you in the morning. It's good to stay cool while you're gardening. And also, I think I like making ice cream. I remember I made it once before, but eating a cold treat is another thing that I like to do in the summer, which also helps me stay cool. Sister Flo, what about some cold treats? What do you like
Oh,
cold treats in the summer?
today I just had one of the, I say my favorite, I say it's one of the best, is I was served at served hollow hollow is my favorite, because it's mixed with ice, and your favorite your all those little favorite things that goes in there with ice cream, ube ice cream, And thank you to the like again with the local congregation of Portland. They had halo halo at their activity, and it was so delicious. So thank you so much to the sisters that made that for us. And I think one other one is just having popsicles, any flavor popsicle to just cool down. Or I remember when we were younger that we make ice boko or ice cakes, ice boko with coconuts or things like that. That kept us cool. That was fun.
Yes, exactly. And actually, here in Brother Jess Guillermo, our behind the scenes crew, said the ice cubes made out of leftover coffee. I actually really like that idea. I've seen that one time before, but I've never tried it because I know I'm not the biggest coffee drinker, but whenever I have drinks that are watered down, they don't taste as good as they were before. And so making iced coffee out of ice cubes coffee sounds like a
Yeah.
pretty
So
good
what do
idea.
you do for that? For those of us that don't want to really waste our coffee, put it in an ice cube tray. And then when you have your next morning coffee and it's too hot, then you can put in a couple of ice cubes. So yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Sister Flo. We've had a lot of good advice and good tips today. Hopefully everyone has been able to enjoy the sun while it's out, and especially let us know what kind of summer activities that you guys are doing this summer. We would love to hear it. And I have one more comment here from Sister Cynthia Nash. She said, favorite healthy ice dessert is, oh, I never know the correct way to say this, acai bowl? I
That
think,
sounds good.
yes, acai bowl. Or you can use any frozen fruits and top with healthy toppings. I think
Ooh,
that's a very good tip, especially since you can customize this to
yes.
any type you want.
I'm gonna hit up Sister Cynthia Nash on this, and we'll go have a acai bowl and just enjoy this summer together.
Oh,
All right.
yeah. All right. Thank you, Sister Flo. And so now that we've covered our tips today, make sure to continue in enjoying our summer season. Thank you everyone who interacted with us in our live chat. And Sister Flo, why don't you bring us to our CFO in action?
Yeah, so we have quite a bit of activities. Everyone is busy preparing for this. Same for the District of Oregon, and and we'll be celebrating the 110th anniversary of the Church of Christ, which is on July 27. We'll be having a neighborhood appreciation day, and then the following day we'll be having the in concert, and we'll be bringing the talents of the District of Oregon to one venue and enjoying and celebrating our 110th anniversary. And with that said, I'd like to just send out some birthday greetings. Today, actually, this is the day, July 13, Brother Bam Conlas. His birthday is today, so happy birthday, Paul. He is the resident minister of the local congregation of Boise and for Fruitland Group Worship Service. Then on July 15, Brother Adam Daniel Cruz from the local congregation of Portland. And after that, July 16th, Sister Danielle McClintal, local congregation of Vancouver.
All right. Thank you, Sister Flo. And we would also like to send our special acknowledgments and our thank you to our brother Eduardo Vimanalo, our executive minister, and as well to brother Angelo Iranio Manalo, our CFO coordinator and SEBSI CEO and president. We'd like to thank you both for always your love and guidance through all of our INC radio programs and to all the brethren around the world. We would also like to thank everyone who joined us today on INC Radio Oregon. Make sure to join us again next week. However, we do have a new time for our episode next week, which will be 2:30 Pacific Daylight Time. Again, 2:30 Pacific Daylight Time and 3:30 Mountain Daylight Time. So make sure to join us again next week at that time. Share this program link with your friends and family, and let's subscribe to INC Radio DZEM 954 on YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining once again. And next up, we have INC Radio Alaska. Stay cool this
Bye,
summer.
everyone. Be safe. Be cool.